Hello and welcome to Kickoff with Casey. My name's Casey Patrick, and we got plenty to talk about from last week. We'll start off with UT's heartbreaking loss. I'm not going to talk too much about it. I've been trying not to talk about Tennessee too much, but there is plenty to talk about with that game. We're also going to talk about Vanderbilt. Is Vanderbilt good? They might be. They smashed South Carolina last week. Of course, South Carolina lost Lenore Sellers early in that game. Either way, Commodores still look really good. And why is Notre Dame still ranked? They're 0-2. I told y'all there was a chance they may be 0-2 after this past week, and they are. And they're still 24th in the country. Meanwhile, South Florida gets bashed back to the 40s or 50s. Who knows where they're at in whatever AP poll this is. But they lose one game and they're gone. Of course, that was my lock of the week, and I was way off. But we've also got Georgia Tech taking down Clemson on a last-second field goal. All that and more coming up. Welcome back. We're gonna go ahead and talk about Tennessee. I wrote heartbreaking, but my heart's not really that broken. I'm kind of upset. I want to complain about the refs. I do. But I told y'all last week I thought Georgia was about 3 points better anyway. I thought that Vegas had it right. And, of course, Vegas did have it right. They always do. I think they've got a time machine out there. But Vegas knew what was coming. Tennessee had a chance to win it there at the end. Max Gilbert just pushed a little bit right. Now, I know we affectionately call Max Gilbert Maxie at my house. I don't know if anybody else does that. But when we're watching the game, wherever I'm at, me and my little brother Chase and everybody, we're always hollering Maxie. I had a lot of confidence in him to make that kick. I know that he missed it. But a 19, 20-year-old kid, he was extremely nervous. You could see it in his face. I didn't want to say it then, but you could see it in his face. And we all have moments, we all have situations where it may be a little bit difficult to execute, and it was for him there. I hate it for him, but I hate it for him because I know how much it meant to him. Because he's one of the players, and I know how much it meant to me. I'm just a fan. I actually sent Max Gilbert a message I found him on Twitter, and I sent him a message, and I was like, "Hey man, keep your head up." I know that usually we tell fans not to reach out to the players, but I assumed that somebody was going to say something, and I saw a few comments on Twitter that weren't necessarily nice, but I decided to reach out to him, and I just sent him a quick message and just said, "Hey, man, keep your head up. You've been really consistent, and you've been really good since getting to Knoxville, and one miss is not going to shape his career. One miss in September is not going to shape his career." I think one of the most important things about that game Saturday is Tennessee showed that they can hang around with the big dogs. Georgia is one of the best teams in the country. Maybe they're not the best. Ohio State is currently ranked number one, and they're still number one after dismantling Ohio 37-9 last Saturday. But I think Georgia's obviously one of the better teams in the country. Tennessee was right there with them and had a chance to win at the end. I think that shows a lot about Tennessee's team. The defense had a lot of mistakes, and I don't know if it was more on coaching. Georgia picked on an 18-year-old corner the entire time. I thought Ty Redmond did a really good job. I thought he played at a really high level for an 18-year-old. Again, some of these guys are going to be playing NFL football next year. They're going to be starters for NFL teams next year. A lot of these guys that you saw on Saturday in that game are going to be starters and play legitimate minutes in the NFL next year. And Ty Redmond, I thought, did a pretty darn good job of trying to slow down a good Georgia offense. The Georgia defense, however, Tennessee was able to exploit a few holes in that. Joey Aguilar, a lot of that was, I think, hoping and praying, and I was doing a lot of praying too. He just flung that thing down there. Chris Brazzell, God bless him, he come down with it quite a few times. Chris Brazzell had the game of his life. It was really fun to watch him show off some of those skills that I think kind of are going to allow him to get into the NFL next year. But again, I'm not going to talk about Tennessee too long, but I did want to talk about it enough just to say that I think that 44-41 loss shows that Tennessee's here. Tennessee's going to play with just about anybody this year. Like I said, they haven't had the opportunity to play against Ohio State or Penn State or Oregon or any of these other teams. But when you can go toe-to-toe with Georgia, I think that's a pretty good sign. And I wanted to beat them as much as anybody else, but it just wasn't meant to be. Now, on to the next thing. Vanderbilt, I got to see a little bit of that game. I went Saturday evening after the Tennessee game. I went up to go see a friend of mine, Deontay, who works at Applebee's, and I went and hung out with him. And of course, they got a few TVs, so I could sit there and watch a lot of games going on. And I tried to watch the South Carolina Vanderbilt game was to my right. I think the LSU Florida game was to the left. And then I can't remember what game was in the middle. I couldn't see it because, bartender's in the way. I only had water, though. But I was trying to keep up with the South Carolina and Vanderbilt game. And it was 7-7. And it seemed like it was 7-7 for the longest time. But I saw a point where Lenore Sellers was being helped off the field. And I knew immediately that was not a good thing for the Gamecocks. Vanderbilt went on to win 31-7. And I don't want to try to take anything away from Vanderbilt. I'm definitely a hater. I am not a Commodores fan at all. But I'm not trying to take away anything from them when I say that Lenore Sellers did get hurt in that game. Vanderbilt still flexed its muscles. They were, I thought they were really good on the road. Somebody had a tweet that went out, and I don't know who to credit the tweet for, but they said, Sandman or Sandstorm, it don't matter. Commodores by 50. And they do win by 50, but Vanderbilt, they've climbed up into the top 25. I think they're 20th now. I'm pretty sure I wrote it down somewhere. There's 50 pieces of paper around here. I did write it down. I don't know where it's at, but I think Vanderbilt's up to 20th now. I think last week, for any of you that were on the internet, probably Tuesday. I think Tuesday is when they had an AP poll voter that was kind of explaining why they put a team where they put them, and she wasn't able to necessarily give a great answer for why she did what she did. Either way, I'm not complaining about that. What I'm saying is these AP polls are very left and right. There's no real clarity on who's where. I think Vanderbilt certainly deserves to be ranked. I think they've played like one of the top 25 teams in the country. I think they've beat some good teams. But what I'm talking about is like Notre Dame still being ranked. That has been stuck in my head since the AP poll. I'm recording this currently. It's 9 p.m. on a Sunday evening. And the AP poll came out earlier today. And it's crazy that Notre Dame is still ranked at 0-2. It's almost as bad as like the college football video game. It just doesn't make sense. It's like a list made up by some low IQ AI just thrown out at us. But whatever, I digress. I do think Vanderbilt should be one of the top 25 teams. Vanderbilt has looked very good. But that goes on into my next thing, which I'm not going to keep going on about it because Notre Dame being ranked is insane, but I'm done with it. But Georgia Tech takes down Clemson with a last-second field goal. And for any of you that didn't get to watch that game, Haynes King is a baller. I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. I don't think any NFL team is going to take a chance on him. If they do, they're going to get a kid that will play his butt off, and he's hard to beat. I don't think he's got the NFL arm, but for a college quarterback, that kid is hard to beat. He wins a lot of big games. Georgia Tech, man. And I looked at their schedule. My little brother Chase, we were watching the game. We had a gender reveal for my little brother on Saturday. I'm not going to reveal what happened because I think Taryn, his wife, still wants to save some of the results and tell her family. I think they're doing that next weekend, so good luck to them. But they're going to travel down to Oklahoma and do another gender reveal. But we did all that Saturday morning. And then me and Chase and Eric and the rest of the family kind of ran back over to Eric's house to catch the start of the Tennessee game. And we were able to watch the end of the Georgia Tech game. I got to see the kick. I actually recorded it on my phone. I pointed at my phone like it's over here. It's up there. It's what I'm doing the video on. But I recorded it on my phone. I just wanted to see what would happen. And, of course, I think it was 55 or 56-yard field goal. Maybe what was it? School record. Yeah, that's the word I couldn't think of. School record for Georgia Tech. 55 or 56-yard field goal to take down Clemson. Clemson now 1-2. And I don't know how the folks at Clemson feel, but sometimes I feel like I'm chronically online because of the Twitter and stuff. But it's called X. I call it Twitter. I don't care. But I'll be on there, and I see a lot of people that really want Dabo Swinney gone. And there's a part of me that definitely understands they're not performing well enough, and this and that, and Clemson kind of got. I don't want to say they're entitled or anything like that. Spoiled, maybe closer to the word I'm thinking of. But when you do have a really good run, and you had some generational talent, college football wise anyway, coming through. He had some really good football players. Dabo Swinney was able to execute with those players. He had a great run. I understand, Clemson fans, you want to move on from him because that run is over. It's obviously over to you and me and everybody else. This team was supposed to be different. The projected first-round pick, Cade Klubnik, was supposed to help them be different. He's overrated, much like college quarterbacks usually are. Klubnik's overrated. Swinney, maybe the times have changed too much for him. Maybe it is time to go. But here's what I'm going to tell you. As a Vol fan that wandered through the desert with no real direction for years and years, be careful what you ask for. Be careful what you ask for. You may get Dabo Swinney gone, and you may get your version of a 25-year-old Lane Kiffin that wants to leave in the middle of the night. I know he wasn't that young. He acted like it, though. And that's the truth. That's the truth, Clemson fans. You may not like it, but I'm just telling you, be careful what you wish for. Because Dabo Swinney, as bad as he is in your brain, he still has y'all ranked 12th before this week. They were ranked 12th. I looked at the rankings. Are they ranked again this week? I don't see them. Well, they shouldn't be. 1 and 2, you should be knocked out of the top 25. Somebody else had a great tweet about the top 25 too. They said the AP top 25 wasn't really about the ability of the team. It was more about brand power, which is true because Alabama gets their faces kicked in against Florida State in week 1, and now they're 14th in the country. You can't convince me that Alabama has played better than Tennessee or like half the teams that are behind them. Again, I'm not a part of the Associated Press poll, so I'm not in charge of any of that. Now, on to our next thing. This was just news earlier today. UCLA fires Deshaun Foster. I'm going to be really honest with y'all. UCLA should have never hired Deshaun Foster. I like Deshaun Foster. He was not ready for this job. He hadn't been a coordinator for more than 10 minutes anywhere. I don't believe. I did a little bit of research, and he was loved by the community. He was extremely cheap. Everybody loved the hire there, and then the games began. That was an actual quote that somebody gave. I wish I could tell you who. I have too many names running through my head. But that's the truth. UCLA should have never hired Deshaun Foster. I think he could be a really good running back coach. I think he could be a pretty good recruiter. They've already lost at least 2 recruits I know of since his firing today. Now, the other thing that I wanted to bring up with Deshaun Foster's firing is because I am chronically online, I saw somebody else that posted a list of potential candidates for the job. I only remember a few of the names on there, and some of them were laughable. One of the candidates for the job was Lincoln Riley. One of the candidates, just in this list, this is not my candidates for the job. This was just a list that I saw. And maybe it was just a troll, some dude being goofy. I think he had Dan Lanning, Lincoln Riley and the Georgia defensive coordinator, Gavin Schumann, I think is his name. I may be wrong on that. Now, I didn't reply to this tweet or anything like that, but I saw a few of the names, and I'm pretty sure I came to the thought that this was just a joke, and it just went on. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought, I don't know if I care who UCLA goes out and gets. I don't have anything against the Bruins. I know their quarterback is a person that I'm supposed to not like. I don't have an issue with Nico. I think he's a young man that made a mistake. I have an issue with his dad. I think his dad didn't act correctly. I think his dad has put him in a really bad situation now. Fought for all that money, and now he's got him with an 0-3 team that just fired their head coach. So, again, Nico, I think, is a young kid to make mistakes. Young kids are supposed to make mistakes. His dad led him to making more bad decisions to go along with it. One more thing, and then we're going to hit a commercial. Arch Manning struggles again mightily. I believe the last stat number I saw, he was 9 of 22, and I might be making that up. I think he kind of cleared it up there, Ken. I think he got a little bit better. But Texas just playing with their food. I think they beat UTEP 27-10. You expect a little bit better out of the Longhorns. I think Sarkisian's a great offensive mind. I think he's a good offensive coach. Arch Manning may really be struggling, and I think some of it, at least a large portion of it, is from the neck up. But we've got plenty more to talk about. We've got the rest of the season to see if Arch can get it turned around. I talked quite a bit, but we're going to go to a commercial real quick. When we get back, we're going to run down last week's top 25 and all their results. So make sure y'all don't go anywhere.
He shoots, and he scores!
Got closer. All new Sportsbook, the latest gaming machines, live horse racing, and more. The Mid Gaming Hall, Kentucky Downs.
Winning just got closer.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
Hello and welcome back to Kickoff with Casey. My name's Casey Patrick. We're just going to do a quick rundown of last week's top 25. We already talked about this just a little bit, but Ohio State took down Ohio 37-9. I think I saw 2 highlights of that game. I didn't even try to click over and watch it. Penn State defeated Villanova 52-6. I didn't know Villanova had a football team. That's a joke. I don't mean that. LSU defeated Florida 20-10. I think LSU was like 6.5-point favorites in that game. Florida kept it close, but Lagway with some turnovers. The Florida offense really not doing all that hot. I think Coach Napier needs to think about at least giving somebody else the opportunity to do some play calls or something. Gators having a lot of issues on that side of the ball. Oregon defeated Northwestern 34-14. One of my favorite quarterbacks in the country, Dante Moore, had a great day but threw an interception on his last pass before he came out at the end of the game. Miami destroyed South Florida 49-12. I feel like an idiot. I told you guys, I thought South Florida would be at least within the 17.5. Nah, they weren't. I feel bad because I thought South Florida was better than that. I didn't think Miami was that good. But, again, Carson Beck has been really good since he got down there. We talked about Georgia, Tennessee. Georgia with the 44-41 win over Tennessee. in overtime. Texas 27-10 over UTEP. Talked about that. Notre Dame losing 41-40 to Texas A&M. Listen, Notre Dame fans, I know you're probably sitting on the other side screaming at me. You may have already turned the phone off. That's fine. But there was a big hold call that was missed against Texas A&M late in that game that I think helped the Aggies get the win. But either way, it pushes my agenda. We're knocking Notre Dame out of the top 25, whether they like it or not. I don't know what they have coming up this week, but we're rooting for whoever's playing against them. Illinois just destroyed Western Michigan 38-0, as they should, the number 9 team in the country. They've got Indiana coming up. That should be a really fun matchup. Florida State had a bye. South Carolina slaughtered by Vanderbilt 31-7. And Vanderbilt didn't just win the game 31-7. I know that tells you one thing. Vanderbilt was the more aggressive team. Vanderbilt was the more confident team. I did not get to see every play. I'm not going to sit here and act like I did. But every time I looked up, the Commodores were jumping. I mean, they were running to the ball. Defensively, they're making plays. I was high on the South Carolina defense. Now, when your star quarterback gets hurt, mentalities change, stuff like that. So there are multiple reasons why the defense could have played bad. I think I'm trying to make myself feel better for possibly just being wrong. But Vanderbilt looked amazing. Moving on to Clemson. 24-21 lost to Georgia Tech. Let's go, Jackets. Oklahoma, 42-3 over Temple. Okay. John Mateer, again, continues to excel. I think they've got Auburn coming up. That's a game we're going to talk about later. I cannot wait to get into that game. Iowa State, 24-16 over Arkansas State. I've been high on Rocco Becht and the Cyclones all year, especially after that Week 1 win over Kansas State, or the Week 0 win over Kansas State. But only an 8-point win over Arkansas State. And is Butch Jones still the coach at Arkansas State? If you only beat Butch Jones by 8 points and you're the number 14 team in the country, that's not good. Maybe they just had a bad day. Tennessee, the number 15 team in the country, losing 44-41. Again, we've talked about it. But in this week's AP poll, they stay at 15. Texas A&M, again, 41-40 over Notre Dame. They were at 16. I'm pretty sure they moved quite a bit. And then Ole Miss. This game was so much fun to watch. This was the game that was in the middle. I couldn't remember. I can't believe I couldn't remember that was the game in the middle out of all three of the games I got to watch. Arkansas, Ole Miss, that was a barn burner. I mean, that was a whole lot of fun, back and forth. Lane Kiffin talking trash. That's a Lil Wayne reference for some of y'all, but I loved it. That game was fun to watch. I don't really care for either one of those teams. I do like Sam Pittman, but I don't know if I was really rooting for Arkansas. I think sometimes I find myself rooting against Ole Miss, but I don't know if that really happened. I think I was just more glued into all of the really fun games that were going on. Vanderbilt was starting to push away from South Carolina, so I kind of stopped paying attention to them. But the Florida-LSU game to my left and this game in the middle, a lot of fun to watch. South Florida losing, just getting demolished by Miami. Alabama defeated Wisconsin 38-14. Apparently that was good enough to knock Alabama back up to 14 in the AP top 25. I think they could beat anybody next week, and they'll probably make them 5th in the country. Moving on to 20, Utah defeated Wyoming 31-6. I haven't seen a single highlight from that game. I don't know if I've seen more than 4 or 5 highlights from Utah all year. That's going to be a team I need to actually get my eyes on. And they've got a huge game coming up this week. We're going to talk about that too. Texas Tech 45-14 over Oregon State. Indiana 73-0 over Indiana State. I told you guys last week I called Indiana State the Fighting Larry Birds. I didn't know if they'd have anything for Indiana, and they didn't. Indiana just ran away with that game. Michigan destroying South Michigan 63-3. Auburn 31-15 over South Alabama. Now, I apologize in advance to any South Alabama fans. But, I mean, maybe you guys are better than I thought. But I expect Auburn to win that game a little bit better than they did. And now I got to see a few clips of that game. It looked like they struggled a little bit. Jackson Arnold still has not completely turned a corner yet. the kid's got a lot of talent. He was good enough for Oklahoma to kick Dylan Gabriel out last year. I think the kid's got, he's got a good arm. He's got some good legs. Again, from the neck up, he's got a little bit of ways to go. Missouri 52-10 over Louisiana. That's all for the top 25. We don't have too much time left, but I'm going to go ahead and go to another commercial. And whenever y'all get back, we're going to talk about some of the biggest matchups coming next week. So please don't go anywhere. And, come on back.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
He shoots, and he scores!
The winning just got closer. All new Sportsbook, the latest gaming machines, live horse racing, and more. The Mid Gaming Hall, Kentucky Downs.
Winning just got closer.
Welcome back to Kickoff with Casey. Let's go through just a few of these matchups that we have coming up this week, and I'm going to have my lock of the week this week as well. The first big matchup that I saw, it's the first game on Saturday. Texas Tech at Utah at 11 a.m. Texas Tech has got a massive donor. I don't know who it is, but this dude is throwing money at Texas Tech. They've been able to go out and get some softball players. They've got themselves a pretty decent football team. I have seen a few highlights of Tech. I have not seen much on Utah. I really need to go and do a little bit of research on this game before they play Saturday, because I'm not really sure what to expect from this game. But it is fun that we're going to have a early morning top 25 matchup. And then at 2:30, Auburn at Oklahoma. I think this is the game of the week. Now, I know Illinois, Indiana is later at night, but Auburn at Oklahoma, I think, is the game of the week. This is going to come down to what can Jackson Arnold do against that Oklahoma defense. The Oklahoma defense knows Jackson Arnold as good as just about anybody else. I don't have a whole lot of faith in Auburn to get a win there, but we'll move on. That game's at 2:30. Auburn at Oklahoma. The night game, this is another big game, and I guess you could kind of call it the game of the week, depending on where in the country you're at. But Illinois at Indiana, number 9 at number 19. Vegas has Indiana at 4.5-point favorites in this one. You get 3 points for being at home, so they've got them as 1.5-point favorites. So Vegas thinks Indiana's better straight up, I guess. I don't know. I haven't got to see Illinois as much as I'd like. There is like 130 FCS or FBS teams, so it's hard to keep up with everybody. But all three of those games, all of them are top 25 matchups. That should be really fun all week long. All day long. There are a few. There's one Thursday night game. I meant to write it down, but as you can tell, I ran out of paper. Like literally ran out of place to put it. I could have wrote it on a different piece. But there's one Thursday game and 2 Friday games. But before I let you guys go, before I let you guys and girls go, we're going to talk about our lock of the week. Last week was bad. Last week was really, really bad. But now one of the games I thought was really interesting. I thought about Sam Houston State because they're traveling to Texas. Texas is 41.5-point favorites. The only reason I thought about it for more than like 2 seconds is because I don't know if Texas can score 42 points. And then I thought about it, and I thought, well, it's against Sam Houston State's defense. They can probably run it the entire time and score 42 points. So I pushed that idea away. My next thought was Miami is only 7.5-point favorites over Florida. And then I got to thinking about it. Man, Florida hates Miami. Florida hates a lot of teams. But I think Florida's going to show up for this game. I think they kind of showed up for LSU. I mean, they just lost by 10. I was just scared to take a rivalry game because those can always go anyway. I mean, like, I think Florida could win that game, and I wouldn't be completely shocked. I would be pretty surprised, but I wouldn't be completely shocked because of just the rivalry in the game. It's just like when I was talking last week. Ole Miss and Kentucky always play each other hard. It doesn't matter who's good or bad. Same difference there. So, after going through all the options, and I honestly, I sat there and I looked at every single college football game that had a line on it. And I could not get over Oklahoma being 6.5-point favorites over Auburn. I think John Mateer takes his, if you just heard that, it's the water machine right there. That freaked me out. Sorry about that. I got scared. I think John Mateer could actually have his Heisman moment this week. I think Oklahoma goes out here, and I don't think they just beat Auburn by a touchdown. I think they could beat Auburn by 10 points, maybe 13, 14 points. I'm high on the Oklahoma defense, mostly because Brent Venables is a defensive guy. He's been a defensive guy his whole career. Started out as a D coordinator at Oklahoma. For those of you, I learned that last night. For those of y'all that he was a defensive coordinator when Josh Heupel was the quarterback at Oklahoma. I actually looked all this stuff. I was talking to an Oklahoma fan last night. Learned all this. But I kept looking at it. Auburn, I think you guys are good. I like Jackson Arnold. I really do. I think he's got a lot to learn. I think they've got a lot to go. And that's my lock of the week. I'll take Oklahoma 6.5 over Auburn. Just all you need is a touchdown and an extra point. So I think we're going to call it there. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. Again, please feel free to message me or comment if you see the video on anything that you'd like to bring up. If you want to tell me how wrong I was about South Florida, have at it. People like to tell me I'm wrong all the time, so that's okay. But thank y'all for hanging out with me, and we'll see y'all next week.